All right, so you should be able to hear me. Brad and HTC, let me know you can hear me now. Let me know. There we go. Thank you. A little bit different in order for me to, because Chris did the whole YouTube live. So in order for me, I had to go on the old Streamlabs and I had to kind of log out from Twitch and then create in. And I thought I did everything, but obviously I forgot to change the audio input. So g'day. I am currently uploading my team reveal for round 4. And I'm talking about my team. I went half an hour of me pretty much not convincing you on what to do. So I thought, look, I'd do a bit of a first ever quickfire Q&A because everyone has different team scenarios, different things going on. And when I speak about my team, sometimes it doesn't always help you with your team, which is pretty much why I'm giving you the first opportunity to get out there and ask questions. And I will try and be as quick and direct as possible as to why I think it's a good idea or a bad idea. So what are the main issues that we currently have this week? I've got my little spreadsheet up here as far as teams, so I can search people. Help me help you, I think, is pretty much the main consensus at this point in time. Go Pies. Chris Kashiri. How dare you, Chris? Getting up on the hate line. Chris would be really upset that I didn't get the audio right, considering how over the top I am as far as that part of there. So Josh says, Marshall to English. Now, if I could afford him, one down, one up, I would be getting English as soon as I could. Now, Marshall does have some easier opponents coming up. I think Marshall will probably have that higher variance, big highs, a few poor scores, etc. So I still think he'll make money. So I don't think it's dire that you jump off right now. But if you already have a Wits, unlike me, because I burnt him last week for Darcy Cameron, but if that was the option, I'd be looking at Wits, I think, for more security as far as that weekly score that you can count on. Marshall will bang out some 140s coming up for sure, but just expect those 70s or 80s or whatever to come with it. Is pretty much the issue there. Ashley as well, the Lord speaks. Hello to you. And thank you as well to HTC and Brad as well for giving me the shout out that you couldn't hear me. So if you do watch a replay, hopefully I can trim the replay because otherwise people think I'm not talking anything. Pick on Joey Danaher week. Yeah, it's a bit like that, Joe. A lot of the forwards at Brisbane at this point in time, and he's not alone. Someone different than Horn Francis is definitely interesting. So I think Brisbane just need to do better in the lead up and executing the skills as far as kicking to goal and putting more pressure on once it hits ground, because I swear I saw, could be Danaher, could have been Hipwood, just applying zero pressure. Once the ball hit the ground, it's like, oh, there they are. You're a little too fast for me, so I'm not even going to bother trying. Thinking Will Day for Ridley. Oh, Doherty to Oliver. See, if you can go Doherty to Oliver and you have enough defenders, I wouldn't mind that one as much. But going a Ridley to Day, I know Day's really impressive, and it's the one that probably does do well and backfires on me for saying no, but I'm going to say no, don't go sideways and backwards from Ridley to Day, because Hawthorn also changed their CBAs, and they did it from week 1 to week 2 to 3. So who knows if they're going to try and manage them and whether that role will continue or whether they will continue to do well in that role. So I'm also worried about Day backing up week in, week out as a CBA midfielder. I think he'll just get absolutely beaten up on those shoulders. So that's my thoughts on that one. Downgrade for Callahan. Now, I think it was Ralston is probably the best one for me, mainly because he has the CBAs. You have Perryman out for 3 to 4 weeks as well, so he might get 3 to 4 more weeks of some price rises, getting a lot of CBAs, so I think he will still score well enough, and hopefully he'll do better that he's played a couple games now. Phillips, you could go, but he was sub week 1, only played because they had 2 mids missing, so I'm not even sure whether they'll name him. He might get named and they might push Cunnington more forward because, Powell, etc. hasn't been doing as well either. So, look, it could happen. If he's named in the midfield, I'd be more keen, but I think it'll be more of a bench spot for him. So I don't like Phillips as much. Ralston is for me. So, look, he could go JVR. I'm probably waiting a week on him. I don't like going early, if that's the one you're talking about. I don't like, was it Young for Richmond? Don't go there. is pretty much the best part for that one. So, Noah, I've done Andy Brayshaw to Laird. Better to go Callahan to Noah Long or Will Phillips. Is it Noah Long and Long? I don't like going rookies after they've already gone up in price. Now, Long's done well enough, but they're about to play like Melbourne and a few tough teams. So, West Coast's best chance was the first 3 rounds. Then it gets harder and harder and harder. I don't like getting on a small forward who has already gone up for one price rise, so I think avoid that one completely. Brayshaw to Laird, that's interesting. I think Laird's had, 2 good weeks and 1 stinker, so I don't know if I'd be going there. Can't fault it too much, though. So, look, if that's the option you're going with, it's better than Brayshaw at this point in time. Or LDU or Kelly. I like LDU more than Kelly. I just think if he's fit and he has no issues with that calf, which was concerning, LDU's got top 6 written all over him, or at least top 6 to 10. Josh Kelly's kind of around that 10th marker. So we know Josh Kelly has a high ceiling, and he's always shown that, but my issue is that can he sustain it? So that's definitely an issue, whereas, pricing point of view, I'm looking at LDU as a nice cheap option. Now, if you've already got Green's probably 10 to 15 maybe as far as midfield, probably goes around that 110. LDU, someone that could push sort of 115 based on that sort of starting of the year. So that's what I'd be sort of going with as far as that. I'd be going LDU over Kelly. And I do think Josh Kelly has value. It's just about whether he maintains it, I guess. So that's the issue there. Cameron replacement. Yeah, that's a big issue, Ashley. Now, I'm in the same boat. I went Wits to Cameron, which is about to come out in my team pod very soon. Now, Cameron, I'd be going to English or Wits. Go figure. As best as you can, and that's probably the easiest it is. I don't like going Grundy. He scored bugger all 60 or 70 maybe, 90 Dream Team and 70 Supercoach against Brisbane when he had basically a whole game as a midfielder. Maybe, yes, they weren't prepared. He didn't look super fit though, and he did lead up a bit better the next game. So he was more impressive last week. But either way, I think Chris said it the best because you're going to have to trade him anyway. Now, the issue is Grundy might make you 50K. I don't think he's getting to 600, so I don't know if he's going to really make you enough money. He's a short-term Band-Aid solution that you're going to have to trade anyway. And if you're looking at, say, I can just go to Gawn, well, Chris was saying it really well. You can't go from, Grundy to Gawn because Gawn's still going to be heavily priced, which means you have to wait at least a few weeks for his Gawn's price to drop. And in that time period, Grundy's going to drop in price as well because he's going to have the bad roll. The only way that changes is if they ease Gawn back in to play forward, which would be awesome. But again, you don't know that, so you're kind of hitting and hoping at that point. Wits. I wish I had Wits. I wish I got rid of bloody Marshall. That would have been so much smarter. Keep Wits, dump Marshall. Instead, stupid me was getting too smart, probably listening to Chris, just like you, Ash, and going, I could free up some money here, and Wits is top price, and Cameron's low price, and then I could buy some time and get English in. Don't know why I didn't really think. I was looking at my my R1 thinking, problems, let's fix this and let's unhandcuff my ruck line. And in the end, I should have just got rid of Marshall. And then I would have gone, Marshall's out, Callahan down, Marshall, or it would have been Cameron instead of Marshall, up to English. Problem solved. But yes, that's the bed that we are in right now. So yeah, Josh, I feel you. Ash, I feel you. How likely is Will Day to be a keeper? 0 chance, Joe Carbine. 0. So, I like what he's doing. We did speak, and Chris didn't believe me early in the preseason, but he was already touted as that sort of main sort of midfield sort of CBA role. But again, they're Hawks. So you've seen other weeks where, Warple or someone's come through and done really well. He's still quite small day, so I don't know if they're going to save him as far as rest, maybe put him back into defense instead of a CBA mid at points to kind of rest his body a little bit because he's going to get beaten up in there. Now, I think he's great. I think he might do well. I still think he needs to put on some kilos or be a little more dynamic. But with ball in hand, I think he's super, super damaging. Good decision maker, good user. Like, I do really rate him as a player, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a keeper at all. So I'd be straight up passing. Pass. Noah Espo, thanks, mate. Hey, Global, good day. This is an impromptu, by the way, really spontaneous. Probably should have told my partner I was going to do the spontaneous pod. But look, this is where we are. This is a nice option. And again, if you are new to this stream or if you're new to this live, it's pretty much about, I speak about my team. I did my own team reveal, which should be dropping any moment on YouTube as well. So please check that out tonight. But I thought I speak about my team so much, so I wouldn't have spoken about Day or LDU because they're not part of my team dynamic as far as what I'm looking to achieve. So that's it. Global, mate. Good to see you as well. Des get by Tell. If he plays. Yes, it's the issue. If he plays. And not sure about buy tell, to be honest. It's you might have to wait until the buy to tell. There's one, write that down. So yeah, I don't know about buy tell. I'm thinking Windhager could take a bit of the slack anyway, and I think they're doing quite well at this point. So Saints are a real interesting one. Plus, if they start to lose, then you'd hate to be the one that they cut straight up because you help contribute to that loss. So Kelly versus LDU. So I lent with LDU. They're global just because I guess on a little bit unknown upside. Injury issue is a little concern, but I think LDU just looks good. And Kelly is always going to have those high ceiling games, so I'm yet to see whether that's actually going to continue, which is probably the big part there. Callahan down to Chandler or McKenna. Man, I don't like Chandler for money to be made. I don't like spending because Callahan to Chandler, you're making, 60,000? What are you going to do with that 60K? Like, you might as well just wait almost, and Callahan might have a better game at some point to re-spark the price generation. But I guess the only flip side is that Chandler, you could probably play on field at this current point in time, but I still don't like Chandler's job security. He's going to play, obviously, because he kicked a few goals, so they're not going to drop him. West Coast, a few weaker games, so you could try your luck there. But if things don't go well, he could be one of the first one out or rested. So I think those that jumped on Chandler last week was probably the right call. But now with that $75,000 less, you'll be getting than other people that brought him in already. So I'm not sure if I like that for the 60K factor. Whereas last week, you could have made yourself 120K. So you're pretty much halving your profits by waiting a week. Macca to Kelly. You talk about Macca? McRae to Kelly? Is that what you're saying? Macca? Espo? I wouldn't be going McRae to Kelly. I'd be going, Oliver. Or Oliver, 100K. Mate, go Oliver. Oliver. It's the get Oliver and English week. You either get them now or you have to wait for them to somehow piddle out and drop in price. But, yeah, I think they're the two must-haves as far as look to be number one in their position. And whether they can sustain that and stay fit is another question. But they look to be the number one in their spot. So you want to try and get on that number one or number two as soon as you can. And for me, it's about whether I sabotage my team to make it happen. So that might mean someone might have to take a hit. Someone like Bontempelli just might have to get hit. Someone like a Green just might have to take a hit in order for me to get that happening. Warple or Horn Francis? I'd be keeping Horn Francis for the upside and the high ceiling factor. Warple really stunk it up and his CBA's dropped to he went from 80% I think to about 50 over 3 weeks. So Horn Francis is the guy you want to keep there. I can't say your name. Eohebe. Eohebe. So look, I think go Horn Francis, keep him. Rostin and Horn Francis to Oliver and LDU. Oh, no, I still think Horn Francis is all right. They play a lot of games at home soon. They play some weak opponents soon, and he's kind of that flat track bully that should dominate some weak opponents. And he'll probably go and bang out another 130, 150 and then make and get up towards 500,000. So I think it's not all dire. You just know what you're going to get. It's like a Dangerfield. You'll go 80 or go 140. He'll taper between the two, and that's what you want to have. So don't just jump off on the low part of that scenario is the one to go with. So Joe as well, Warple to Ralston, Marshall to English. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to try and get English this week as well. So not as many as I was thinking. I think a few people are going cheap with Grundy and getting sold on this amazing one ruck opportunity. But you're still going to have to trade him later. Whereas at least English, you don't have to trade him unless he's injured, rather than having to trade them to then upgrade. So I think that's probably the one to go with. That's what I've done. I had cash in the bank, so first thing was I'm straight away. I'm not even considering Grundy. I went straight to English with the cash I had. So that's the easy one there. Now, Marty. I I don't like it. Hickey apparently is also rumoured to possibly be back or soon. So I don't like Amati. I know the Amati party and everyone gets really excited on the Amati party, but the issue is I just don't know if it's going to work. Now, he went really big the first game he played and then less on this one, so I think it's going to be an issue that people are going to get stuck with. Now, if you've already gone and tried to chase a Horton Francis and chase one of these other, like a Warple and someone else, and now you're trying to chase him, I think you're better off just probably leaving the Amati. I think the party has ended at 10 and it's now 9:45. So the Amati party is about to get shut down, so I think maybe just leave that at this point in time. English, yeah, so Chris is playing hypotheticals again, so that's okay. That's okay, Chris. You can talk all about your hypotheticals on just buy yourself. Grundy will probably get up to 560,000 and you'll have to trade him on, so it's okay. It's okay, Chris. You can go Grundy. He's a shit pick, but that's fine, Chris. Nice of you to join the chat, Chris, and this is very impromptu. I probably should have hit up Chris to join me, and you'll probably try and log in onto the Streamlabs through our account and try and shut me down, but no, Chris, you cannot shut me down. Get your own segment. All right, so Noah, other than Ralston, is there anyone else that you consider to replace? Phillips is the only one for me that I would consider. I don't think I'm going to do that, though, because of the risk potential on the sub, etc., that he was the other week. You've also got Wardlaw getting like 24 touches and some tackles, so he's probably building, and if he's fully fit, Phillips can only really play midfield. So I think Wardlaw would probably be the one that they'd probably throw in there later anyway. So I don't know what Phillips has to offer. So as far as I thought he was good, but it looks like that's kind of turned a little bit. So yeah, that's how we'd go with that one. Thank you. So Lawrence, Noah Long, Cashjan, no. Don't go to a small forward. I know Noah Long is tempting, but when you have a look at, so again, you go to Fremantle, their first, West Coast, sorry, Fremantle. Their first part of the fixture was actually quite decent. I mean, they played, North, Giants, and Fremantle, who are worse than we thought. So they had 3 really good matchups, and then they go and play Melbourne, Geelong. So hopefully Geelong are better by that point. But that's in Adelaide, so that's at least a plus. Melbourne, Geelong, Port, Carlton, Richmond. And then I guess it gets a little bit easier, Suns, Hawks, and Bombers. But if he gets a stinker, a 20, a 30... a 35. I mean, look at Callahan dropping a couple of bombs and literally just plateaus out. So I don't know if Long's the answer because he could drop a 30. Now, I wish I had him, but I'm not going to pay that much to get him. I'm not paying 160, 170 to get in a Davey or a Long. You kind of go, hey, I regret not getting them, and that's about it. So, yeah, just pass on that one. Brayshaw, LDU, worth paying top dollar. So I've already answered that one. Global. Yeah, don't forget, good point there, Global. You're going to have to maybe consider Stewart. Hopefully not next week, because hopefully the Hawks will tag and they will shut him down because he is the only player of note at Geelong. And even better, he towed up last week against the Suns. So now the Hawks are like, well, we really need to shut him down because he's the only good and dangerous player. So fingers crossed that Geelong will actually go and do that for us. And I'm hoping that I can pick up Stewart in a few weeks' time with that low still in his cycle. So that's that part. Setterfield, Harry, mate. Is it too late to bring in Setterfield? I think so. Now, he scored okay, but apparently it might have dislocated his finger, copped a bit of a corky the other week. So for me, I think I wouldn't be spending $400,000 on a Setterfield type. I'd rather just try and get a full premium or try and save money to then free up to get a premium next week. I don't think it's the time to be bringing in $400,000 players, especially with that lower score now in their cycle. So I think you're only about another week or so off that kind of maybe fizzling out, and he needs another big score to kind of restart that generation there. So I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be kind of, if you don't have an injury like Cameron and you don't have, say, Callahan to try and then get you an Oliver, then you're probably best to kind of just sit on your hands and not try and go like a Callahan to an Amati party where you might still be put in the same situation but with a trade less and you've only really made 50K, which isn't really going to be worth it. Replacement for Darcy, I think it's pretty much Witts and English at this point. And I wish I didn't get rid of Witts last week, and I wish I got rid of Marshall, but that's another problem. So that's it there. Best replacement for Gota. Maybe hold him if you have a Sheasel or someone or other. Hold him for 2 weeks. Sheasel into defense. Gota can bugger off. You could almost do that next week if you have enough DPP, like a forward. so a mid defender DPP to be able to sort of throw them in at that point. So that's you, Field Ollie. So I'd be, no, not Field Ollie. So that's you, EOHEBE. Tell me how to say that, but that's what I'd be doing. Defender mid back in there, and I'd even just, you could go cheap for a week, is probably what I'd look to do, and I'd look to get that, Melbourne forward or someone next week on the bubble, if that works out. But yeah, Gota's not great, but I wouldn't be going a Bose or someone else instead of Gota. I don't think that bodes well either. So there you go. Big sound. There is a big sound on the west side of town, and it's not Tagoe. So don't do it. He's not getting forward status, I don't believe. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 midfielder. He's a high impact player, up and down. You're going to end up kind of getting some Horn Francis scores, and then you're going to really hate life. So look, I think he's great. Also, Collingwood are now 3 for 3, soon to be 3 out of 4. Thanks, Brisbane. So look, when they start losing games, which is going to happen, it's going to be harder for him to kick goals from the forward of centre. So do not go Tagoe. That's literally the biggest thing you can take from this. Do not get Tagoe is literally the biggest thing I can tell anyone ever. Is it worth moving Tom Green in to get Clary? Now, Benji, this is exactly what I was thinking of doing if I had 150,000 to do it. Now, the other consideration is I do go and get Grundy instead of an English, and then I can go Callahan down to, say, Rouston, and then I could go a Green or a forward, like a Goulden, and go straight up to Clary, which was the other consideration, because I do want to keep the issue then is I'm going Grundy, and I'm backing in Grundy, and I'm trying to then, say, play Bontempelli instead of, say, an English, and hope that it works out at that. So the other option is I'm considering getting rid of a Green as well, so that definitely does play into that scenario. Or I'm considering getting rid of a Bontempelli to get in Clary, knowing that, yes, it is slightly sideways, but still an upgrade, but more the fact that it can mitigate the risk as far as captaincy scores over this bunny run that I believe they'll have. So, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the damage that he's going to be doing, but that's pretty much it there. Phillips and Ralston, I have saying Causa, so pretty much saying I think... Phillips might get some more games here and there, but I guess you've got Wardlaw coming into it, and I think Ralston with Perryman still out for 3 to 4, I think he's getting CBAs. He can probably do better with those CBAs and still make you 100 or so K. I can't see them really, who are they going to drop him for at this point? So I think the role's there. They're playing Callahan outside, so I think it's definitely a good option at this point, and he's still doing serviceably well. TK Mac, Ridley to LDU via DPP, even if it means having to field Wilmot, Cowan, etc. Yeah, so look, if you have Sheasel and or Zeeble, then you're only really doing it for this week, next week. So I'm okay with moving on someone who you think is going to drop cash for someone who you think is a higher ceiling and will do better and actually be a top sort of 6 to 10 in their position. Then I'm okay with that. And then you take 2 scores of having, say, a Wilmot on field for this week, next week. The week after that, bang, Sheasel, you're back there. And then you just make those changes and trades and everything's all fine again. So it's looking at going, well, hang on, well, what's, Ridley going to score? What's LDU going to score over that sort of period? And then you should make up your points anyway, is pretty much the part that I'm going to recommend. So I'm just trying to have a look let me just quickly go to the channel because I want to see if I have actually uploaded the other one, which should be very, very soon. Should be very soon to go for that one. Go for Oliver, Stewart over the next couple of weeks. Grab Day, Josh Kelly, Sard. No, go the first one. Oliver, if you can. Stewart over a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully Hawks tag. That's pretty much the easiest thing you can go for there. Widescreen TV. Love your work, mate. You've gotten better and better over the years, so I appreciate you. McInnes, no, don't go that one. JVR, wait a week on that anyway. So Rouston for me, then Phillips. Depending on if he's named where he's named as well. If it's midfield, then it's more likely. They might, if they play Phillips midfield, they might play Cunnington more forward. But I don't know if they're going to do that. So that's the issue there. Sin, how long is he out? I think he's fit now. So I think maybe they're just playing him in the seconds in the Sandful. And then once he pushes his way into that side. But Port aren't doing well, so I'm hoping that Sin might actually come in sooner rather than later. It would be a sin not to. Replacement for Doherty. Keep him. So Dean Jones, mate, love your work. Doherty, I'd keep Doherty. They're about to have their bunny run. He got 39 touches. He's going to start banging out 130s. He's still a top 6 in my opinion for the year, at least from this point forward. I still think he's a highly valuable option, so don't get rid of him. don't get worried about the break even, etc. You've already got him. A lot of people have jumped off, and I think they're going to get burnt by it. So stay true to Doherty. Ridley, however, I think can get out of my side. So for me, it might be Ridley to Stewart, and kind of go about it that way. So that's it from that part. Field Ollie, have Cameron sold and trading English, so getting English. Callahan, don't know the best replacement for him. Yeah, so that's the issue. Everyone's looking for the best replacement for, say, Callahan because you want to try and get a Cameron up to an English. It's a risk. Like Ralston, I hadn't heard much about. I look at his role. His CBAs are there. He looks like he's doing well enough. The role's there, and you're looking at the injury for Perryman 3 to 4 weeks. So if they play him in the seconds, then it might buy another week. It's just all pending on that. So Phillips, again, is an issue, but at least I don't think will put him on the sub on Ralston, whereas Phillips could definitely be the sub. So again, if he's named in the midfield, then I might actually go Phillips because it looks like he's got that role to try and keep. So I'm a little concerned on that part there. McRae or Darcy, who to trade first? I'm going Darcy, and that's why I said last week you should get rid of Darcy because he produces against West Coast who had no ruck, and now you're tempted to keep him. So do not keep Darcy. Yeah, plain and simple. And I'd probably be... McRae's kind of sucky as far as his role, but we know Bevo likes to switch and change. And if things keep going kind of mediocre, they might put McRae back into the guts because we know that he can run two ways, unlike Treloar. So I'd be holding McRae probably more than Darcy. Is that one for you, Barnsey? Corey, who do I trade Callahan to? Loop him. So I'd loop him with Mackenzie if you had Mackenzie on the bench. Is pretty much the way I would look at that one. It's all good. My team's not up on YouTube yet, so I'll try and round this out until it does happen. So it should be happening very soon. Is Warple to Ash a waste of... Yes, it is. Gone away. You're going away with those trades, mate. So do not trade Warple to Ash. I think you start to get a bit desperate when you start going mid-pricer to mid-pricer to mid-pricer, which is pretty much what has happened already. Some people kind of going, Callahan to Warple, and that's been a bust. So try and free up cash and then upgrade if you can, or downgrade and then use that cash and then upgrade someone else next week. But I think sideways to sideways on a mid-price is not going to be great. Mediocre, like top 10-ish or 10, premium-ish to another premium isn't really the go-to either. Like a Ridley today, don't do it. Going like a Green to a DeGoey or something. Like, don't go sideways to sideways in that way. You pretty much want to go bona fide top of their line, or ones that you don't have that look like they're going to be number 1 or 2, or go and get value and free up some cash to then be able to attack elsewhere is pretty much the go-to. So for Ridley, I'm using him as a stepping stone to probably get Stewart because I probably won't be able to go someone else to him, and he's probably dropped in price earlier than I was expecting. So that's that part there. So Reese... Gonna call to Dacos holding Shrek. Don't hold Shrek. English aiming to get Stewart next week if he looks good for Ridley. Yeah, that's the way to go. I don't know. Ridley's kind of doing okay. I'm hoping that what's his Zerk Thatcher maybe is back and he played bigger. So I was hoping Ridley would do better last week, but I knew to temper my expectations because he was playing more of a taller defender and was a little bit more accountable. So I'm expecting that to change, so I'm waiting to see sort of teams for that one. Zeeble out, Chris. Hey, get your own room there, Tom. Hitting up Chris in the chats. Partial role change with Logat suspended, yeah. So I think, look, it could be interesting, but I think Zeeble's still well enough is pretty much what I would expect to say. I think there's not too much concern with Zeeble per se. We already know he's going to have some bigger weeks than others, and I'll take an 80 floor, knowing that he will knock out some 110s, etc. Through the long run as well. Any pineapples this year? Mono pineapples? You talking about cash pineapples like Fiddies, or except for the ones I'm losing to Swizz, it seems like. Walsh could be VFL or AFL. Yeah, Corey, I did hear that as well. And it's funny because they said earlier this week they were talking about Walsh is now training with the main group. And they'll see how he kind of goes on Thursday as to like what they plan to do. And then all of a sudden it was in the, was it the team reveal or on the, the possible ins for the week in the mix or whatever it was, talking about Walsh maybe playing VFL or AFL, which I think is highly crazy and exciting, and I'm there for it. So I do hope that happens. V. Holdsey, decam to Oliver and keep Callahan. Well, if you go decam to Oliver, bang, easy. Decam to Zeeble, Callahan to someone like, no, go Oliver. Easy, done. Everyone else is shit in comparison, so just do that. Do the top one of their line and just get that done. So, Tom's saying thanks to Chris. That's fine, man. I'm trying to get through these as quick as I can, so I do appreciate you. Real left field with someone trades this week. Petrovsky-Seaton, no. Don't go Petrovsky-Seaton. Look, bulk injuries are there, but you still have Yo coming back into that side as well. You've still got Hewitt possibly coming into that mix as well. Sam Petrovsky-Seaton is not in their long-term mix, and I don't think it's going to be an option. And at 400K, it's horrible. Like, I'd rather Sam Day. Like, just, I know he's in the forward line or whatever's going on there. Is it? I think Sam, yeah, don't go there. Just don't go there. Travis, do not go there, Travis, is the biggest concerns I could tell you there. So, Big Tommy, mate. Love your name, Big Tommy. I heard you're a gun at lots of things, Tommy Gun. So, DCAM to English, yep, done. Callahan to Chandler, yeah, so I've spoken about that already. Chandler, I guess week run, they might score well enough to make another 100K, but you're only making 60 off Callahan, and I'm not sure Chandler's going to be best 22 as much. So I did talk about this one a little bit earlier. You might be able to go flicking back through that fairly early on. Yeah, don't boost to get him either, because 60K to boost. No, just wait and see on that one. LDU, but lose Goulden. Oh, don't do it, Finn. Goulden only went out of the CBAs a little bit because Mills was on Clary. So Goulden, they're about to play a whole bunch of teams without really, really big midfielders, like a Port Adelaide or something, where he'll probably just be on some of those more dynamic types. And also a good stat was points per minute. He's like the number one midfielder. So when he's in the midfield, he's actually scoring the highest points per minute at like 120 average per the time that he's actually in there. So stay true to Goulden is pretty much what I can expect. So global 10 mids. Are you looking to jump on first, except Clary? I really like Essendon's run home, but Zeret hasn't impressed me. Parish maybe. I like their run home, so I'm looking at that. There's not many. That's why I like LDU as an option, because a lot of those other mids have sort of tapered off a bit. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at Neil. I'm definitely looking at Took and all of that sort of top sort of major like 6 range, I guess. And then there's a bit of open room in that sort of back end area. So that's what I think Josh Kelly people are looking at. That's what I think LDU people are looking at. That's why I think Green is probably worth holding at that point, because it is fairly unknown as far as the back end of it. And we've seen like Brayshaw, Zeret, and a few others sort of taper off, and Mills taper off. So I think there's definitely a lot of room for that as far as moves to be made. All right, so I'm going to have to try and finish out some of these questions, and I'll go over from here once I finish up onto the Premiere, which will be probably up in a moment. I should probably have a look at where we are tracking with that one. 8 minutes left. Okay, so we've got 8 minutes, and I'm going to answer these questions, and I'm going to have to get a bit more blunt with you so that way we can make it happen. No one's even asking me to look at anything over here. I haven't even been sliding on this part, players and rankings. It's just me up here. No one's even asking me anything about that, so probably a good thing. What does Yo have to average for me to jump him on? I was considering jumping on Yo this week if he was named. Ridley to Yo, and then I can have money to go straight up to Clary, which is crazy. But again, I don't think people are going to be going sideways, so like a McKenna to a Yo in a couple of weeks' time, because why would you go sideways when you can make some cash and like trade them down, get cash, and get a premium? I don't see the point in waiting 6 weeks to sideways someone to then might make you money. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I considered it, because it's kind of not quite upgrade season, which is why I thought about going Ridley down to Yo, which is massive balls out move. Could go wrong, but I think people won't get there in a couple of weeks' time for that factor if they're smart. So it'll probably happen. He'll probably have a good couple of games if he stays fit, and people want to just jump on sideways and kind of ruin that. But look, I think he could go 90, but whether he still has the same role in the preseason is yet to be seen. So definitely try and wait and see on that one. Is pretty much the best thing there. So, Zeeble, a good replacement. Tom Smith, look, I liked Zeeble's first 2 weeks. I wasn't as sold last week. So, I think there's probably some other options you might be able to go there, or just play a rookie. So, I mean, you've got Chandler did well enough in that part, so you might be able to use that money and go Darcy Cameron to another line and get a Clary or someone else in that part there. Cozzy Pickett. Look, we've only seen one game of Cozzy, so I'd definitely wait and see another one. I don't really like him. They absolutely, I think, killed that first week. So I think, again, you're looking at that high variance in scores. So I think he's definitely going to be hurting some people with that variance. And I wouldn't be recommending going on Cozzy Pickett at all, because he could be another one that their midfield's firing or something, rather than just go play him forward for a bit and then he just fizzles out of a game. So, or he's not impactful in the midfield and then they just move him. So I think the Ds have got enough people to run through there that if he's not firing and he's not being dynamic, then they'll just move him on and put him in the forward line where he might not score. So I think it's definitely one that I would be avoiding at this point in time. Oscar. Corey, save trades, 32, 19K overall. That's why I don't know what to do with Darcy, Callahan, Ralston, Darcy to English. Yeah, look, I think, again, we spoke last week. I think Darcy I'd get rid of. Now, I know a few people are huge on Shrek. I said straight away he's going to go well last week, and that's why people are going to want to keep him, and he's going to give you another 4 weeks of crap, and he'll get you 50, and then he'll go 150 now and then. So if you are expecting that and you're fine with that, then that's fine. Go with that. That's fine. But for me, I'd be getting rid of him. And English, I think, is number one. So why would you not try and get the number one instead of getting a guy that goes 51 week and goes well maybe 3 weeks later? So if you keep, let me know in 4 weeks' time if you're upset. Because he could just easily drop down to like 400K. And then what are you going to do? So at least you're at a point now where you might be able to get out of it. Now, I'm not saying Darcy's not a great ruck, but there's already calls from people in Fremantle saying Jackson should be the number one ruck and getting him more ruck. And if that's the point, then he might even just find himself playing forward more. And that CBA split has definitely dropped for him. So I'd be getting out as quick as possible for me. So that's it for Corey. Cornelio, why is everyone jumping off Cornelio? He had one bad game, and we know Cornelio has stinkers, and the only reason he had a stinker is because he was so bad with the disposals, super bad with disposals. So I don't know why everyone's looking to jump off, because he has a high ceiling anyway, 130s, 140s, etc. And this was probably more of like an 80-90 game, but he just butchered it so bad. So I don't expect why people are trying to get off Cornelio. I'm looking forward to hoping that price drops for me so I can get him in. I don't see the big issue. Try not to be too reactionary with premiums where you can, unless their name is Darcy, is where I would actually jump off. So Cornelio still looks like a top 6 forward to me, so I wouldn't be making a move there. Get Duncan in. What, you're talking about Mitch Duncan? Duncan. Lewis, who are you talking about, mate? Duncan. I've seen Duncan written a couple times. Duncan. Mitch Duncan could play this week, I believe. Not sure where he's going to play, though. He had definitely some injuries in the preseason, so that is an issue. Ridley to Warpedo to Chandler. So, again, I'm worried about people that are bringing in Warple, probably brought him in last week, so then you're trying to flip him and move him again in a week's time. Like, if you keep doing that all the time, it's going to be really, really painful. Especially if you start talking about Marty, etc. So that could be the exact same problem you had this week, but next week. So I think if you brought in Warple last week and you're trying to think about, I'll get a Marty, I reckon just sit on it. Otherwise you just brought him in. He's had a bad week. You bring in someone else and then they have a bad week. So, I don't know. So I know Warple's time on CBAs did drop, so it is a concern, but I don't know if jumping to one mid to the next mid to the next mid is definitely the way to go, Julian. So, I don't know. I feel like if I brought in Warple last week, I'd probably just sit on him for a few weeks and sort of wait and see what happens. He's not going to really lose much cash. He's still not too bad to play on field, generally speaking. Whereas a Marty, Hickey could be back soon, very soon, from the reports today. So I don't like it for a Marty. So, DCam up to English. Yep. Done. So Harry, good man. Need free cash and have 2 people need gone in Callahan and Young. You need Young gone? Young. Oh, Young gone. I was in Fremantle Young. Should I save some cash and get a Rook or Midi? Okay, DCam pretty set on getting up to English. But you only need 130,000, so you should be able to go Callahan pretty much down to like a Ralston, and that should buy you about 130,000. Yeah, I think Ralston's like 130,000, isn't he? So that would get you 130,000 to then go him up. So that's what I would do. I would then go Callahan down, and I would then go and upgrade. That's probably the easiest one. I don't get too complicated with that one. Leave Young for now for Freo if that's the one you're talking about, Harry. And that's it. Yeah, hold global, hold cogs. Good man. Look at you backing me up there. That's exactly what we're going to say to do. No, yo is the go. Yeah, no, don't do it. It's a trap. No, it's fine. I'd stuff. Yeah, you could definitely stuff your team up if that's what you're talking about. Wow, I got to try and flick through these. You guys are killing me. So good. And I've only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to try and round this up. Let's go. Power answers. I did say quick fire, so I've got to stop rambling on. Brian's there, but no, I think that people are answering their own questions here. Warple to Amadi, Darcy to English. Yeah, Amadi's a trap. Don't do it. Good of you answering there. Copied Chris's team, but I'm a step ahead. Good job. Well done, Dean Jones. Yeah, Chris has some really good insight most of the time. As long as it's not Collingwood related, he's pretty good. Oliver and Grundy or English and LDU. Oh, that's hard. I'd say, oh, man. I prefer Oliver over English. Oliver and Grundy, knowing that you have to get rid of Grundy in a few weeks, Dylan. Yep, I'd buy a few weeks maybe at that point. Oliver, if you don't have many good VCs or Cs, because I'll use him as a VC or C more than English. Wow, that hurts. LDU over Oliver this week. Yeah, I think Chris is doing that. Look, I don't mind it. He did have calf tightness, so I'm hoping that would subside if I was going there, but it is an option. I just prefer Oliver. Yeah, Mitch, I don't know. Duncan in, that's a big risk for me. Yeah, so I don't know if I'd be going that. Dunkley, I like. Lewis, if that's the one there. So Warple, Doherty. So don't give it to Doherty. Regardless of, unless it's getting you Oliver, which it looks like there might be. Warple, Doherty, Darcy, Oliver, English, Rouston. Ooh, okay. So Warple, Doherty, Darcy. I don't like Darcy, so that should be English anyway. And if Warple down can get you, say, Doherty to Oliver, I don't mind that option at all. SC10. So look, it is a bit risky. I do like keeping Doherty, but if you can get Oliver in that process, I don't actually mind that as much as I thought I was going to. Cozzy, yes, I already said no, don't do Cozzy. 15 by premiums would stuff your team up. Yeah, thanks. Ultimate Fitness Adventure, mate. You've come out. Ultimate Fitness Adventure Camp. I'm going to have to click on your profile because you've been coming out every day and posting good stuff, mate. So, no yo's to go. Thanks, Joe B. Jack Buckley. I had a look at Jack Buckley. Interesting one, real quickly. The low DT high super coach had lots of 1%ers, lots of one-on-one wins, so matched up on opponents, so intercept marks, good disposal by foot, and some handballs and stuff there. That's why he scored well. So look, I don't mind him too much, but at 280k, it is a risk because if it doesn't all come together one week, if he doesn't beat his opponent in those one-on-ones, and if he doesn't get those 1%ers, and if he doesn't kick as well, he'll just drop a 60 and then you're stuffed. So look, I think he's doing well. I think he's doing extremely well. And I have thought about it and I've looked at it and he's underrated, I think, for GWS. But that's with the low amount of disposals he's getting, each one of those has to be high impact, which is why I'm actually looking at not getting on Buckley, and I wouldn't recommend him just because if it doesn't pull together in any of those facets, you're looking at a lower score. So, yeah. Sicily or Stewart this week. Oh, I wouldn't go Stewart this week because of Hawthorn. And they probably will tag after he racked it up against Gold Coast. So I'd probably say Sicily if you had to go for one of those 2-1s. And that's it there. Keep Libba or sell for LDU. I'd probably be keeping Libba probably at this point in time. But LDU is definitely appealing. Again, that's kind of like for likeness. But I do think LDU is top 6 to 10. Whereas I think Libba's probably not 10. So if your team's looking pretty good, then I don't mind you burning that trade there. Deeds. Mr. Deeds is the name we have to go for you. Crispy, Jason, don't jump off cogs. Don't jump off cogs just to get LDU. That makes no sense to me. Duncan, yeah, look, I think Duncan's good for my draft leagues. I've held on to him, but I wouldn't be going Mitchy Duncan there, Lewis. You keep banging on him, so you must be hot on his heels. But I'd probably be looking at that one. Oh, 8:31. My premiere is probably about to start on my team, so I'm going to have to rack this up so I can go and continue on the chats over on the premiere. So for those of you, so we've got Oscar Farrington and Adventure Tortoise. You'll be my last questions here, and I'm going to have to round it up, and I will continue over on the other chat there for a little bit. So 45 minutes, longer than I was expecting, everyone. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I've got 124 viewers still at the end of this. I'm really appreciative. Might have to do this again, actually. I think it's a pretty cool little segment to interact with you every now and then. Don't always have time, but it is holidays for me at the moment, so trying to jump on here. Big Tommy, trade Callahan over to Chandler. So again, yeah, that frees up 60k, so I'm not as keen on that, but go for it if you are keen on that draw. Better to field than Ratatouille. Yeah, so Radagalia. If Chandler's on field instead, then I don't mind that as much. So that's probably a better, balance situation for you there. Healing Hikes. LDU, Grundy, had Decam, Van Rooyen, 15, Oliver, Brayshaw, Grundy, Bowes, 14 keepers. Oh, okay. So I don't like going on Van Rooyen early. I do like getting in Oliver instead of, say, Brayshaw, if you can afford it. I don't like Bowes. Grundy, I don't really like as much either. LDU, Grundy, and Van Rooyen. No. Oliver, Grundy, Bowes. I don't like Bowes, though. Not really sure I like any of those options. I prefer the Oliver one, though, but that's just me. Another captaincy option, and that's double points. That's going to help you definitely in the long run there. So I'd be going with that one. Zeeble and Rouston in instead of Callahan and Warple. I do not like that, Finn. So, yeah. I don't know why people are trading Bontfilled either. Kneeboy 55, mate. So, yeah, that's interesting there. McRae, Sean Darcy to LDU and Tim English. I think McRae's good enough to match it with LDU. I'd rather just go Darcy to English. And if you had someone else you can go to, Matt, I'd be looking to do that one instead. McRae hasn't been great. I understand that. But there's definitely some options. You know, McRae could do well enough to kind of match it with LDU and save you a trade. So I don't really see the point in that as much. Global's already on my... Look at that. Global on my... Go Global on my Premiere. So I'm going to give you a shout out, mate. I'm going to buy some time here. Go good man, Global. There you go. Look, I'm chatting on here and I'm chatting on here. Like, literally cannot get much more thorough than that. So... all right, finishing off here. Ridley, McGrath, I'll get rid of McGrath. See you later. Warple and Fife. Oh, gone. Wow, 200k in the bank. I'd be upgrading Fife or someone for sure. Get rid of McGrath. Get rid of Warple and Fife if you can. Yeah, do that one. Easy. Oh, Noah Anderson. Oscar, that hurts. He's been so bad. 85. Definitely some room there on the bone. If you have him, I'd be... Oh, mate, he's already dropped one price rise. He's dropping hard. He'll be like 400. So if you have him, I'd be even looking to try and get up to a bona fide premium as quick as possible. That's kind of like the LDU in reverse. LDU's at least a breakout potential, and he's kind of matching it, whereas Anderson, we thought would go 110, and he's not. So try and get someone that will give you less pain is pretty much the way to go to there. I've already said about... So Ridley today, I don't think is a good option, just because you'll be in the same boat. I don't think Day's going to be stacking it up as far as the pressures of midfield every week, and we can't trust the coach to put him as a major CBA each week. Round 1 is different to round 2 and 3, and he might get put into defence again to rest because it's a tough gig being in that midfield all the time there, Oscar. Meek, get rid of Meek. Oh, get rid of Meek for anyone, Ozfooty. Get rid of him for anyone. So that was for your Adventure Tortoise, by the way, the last one there. And Harry, get rid of Callahan. So don't go to Young at all. Do not go to Young because I think Tarrant's nearly back. So that's it. The Duke and Finn and everyone else, mate, jumping over to my other stream at the moment. So this is the final part for the Q&A. I'm about to jump onto my team reveal for week 4. So AFL Supercoach Ben's team into round 4. So if you want to continue, go over there and I'll check you there. Ridley, Sud worth a trade. Would you be holding Ridley? So, yeah, I'd be holding Ridley. I don't think Sud's doing well, but I don't know if he's that much better. I'd be waiting for a Stewart or someone else instead. Setterfield playing, I think Setterfield's fine. I think dislocated finger, had a bit of a quad knock the other week, but I think he's fine. I haven't seen anything to the contrary so far that says he's not playing. So that's it. Warple and Horn-Francis. So, yeah, that's the issue. I think you would have only brought in Warple probably the week just gone, and you probably would have only brought in Horn-Francis the week before that, which means you pretty much brought someone in, and then brought someone in the next week, and now you're going, oh, they're no good, and then you want to get rid of them again. So now you're talking about burning one trade into 2 trades and now spending another 2 trades to burn out of those 2 trades. I think you might just have to kind of, unless you started them, if you started Horn-Francis and you started Warple, then I would say cool, burn away. If you've just brought them in the last 2 weeks, I think you kind of just have to sit and wait it out for a couple of weeks and hope that they bring that 100 scores back in and then start to actually bring some of that price with it. So I think you kind of have to sit and wait on anyone that sort of brought them in. And Matt, so I'll answer this one as well. So Darcy, I'd get rid of Darcy, and I'd actually probably get rid of Callahan as well, if you could. So Callahan down, Darcy up to English, bang, problem solved. There's 130,000 and done. Look, that's it. If you have liked this, please do like, subscribe, and continue the shout-outs and love. I'm going to go to my Premiere right now and start mingling with everyone checking out my Premiere. That's it. Talk to you soon. Bye.